Today we are going to finish our last class and we're going to be talking about governing.
Governing.
Governing. And so governing is one of those things that sounds really boring, but it's actually quite important. And
Mm,
it's one of these things that has really helped me to grow in my walk with the Lord, in really learning how to depend on Him and do what I see Him doing.
mm,
And so, it also has absolutely opened up new parts of my identity and what I'm supposed to do. Um, so let me just tell you a little bit about what I believe governing is and what it might look like, what it has looked like for me. You guys know that the scriptures call us a royal priesthood, right? Yes. So I don't know if you know why it calls us a royal priesthood, but we are in the order of Melchizedek, that is the same as Yeshua. So Yeshua was in the order of Melchizedek. Do you guys know who Melchizedek was in the scriptures?
it was um, no beginning, no end.
Yes, and he also was the very first priest and king. So
He met Abraham.
yeah, and he was, before him, you either were a priest or a king, but you couldn't be both. And
Mhm,
he was the first one who was chosen to be king who was a priest.
mm,
And so that's why we're called a royal, kingly priesthood. We're
mm,
supposed to be both priest and king after the
mm,
order of Melchizedek. And so, anyway, if we are supposed to be priests and kings, then we need to do a couple things. Kings govern, they govern the land. They are the ones who are in charge of whatever kingdom they have, right? And we
mm,
know that we are all kings, but then there is a king of kings. And so Yeshua is our king of all of us kings. So we aren't in charge of the entire kingdom, but we are in charge of a certain part of the kingdom. And so we need to know, what part am I in charge of? Most people know that they are supposed to govern their own bodies. They might know maybe they're supposed to govern their house, or something like that, but that's not something they know much more than that, that they're supposed to be in charge of. And so it's important to seek that out, to go, okay, if I'm a king, do I have a throne? Of course, you have a throne if you're a king. All right. But you may or may not have experienced your throne. And if you, I'll tell you what, there have been people that I have engaged with, even family members of mine, who, when I went and engaged over their mountain, we all have mountains in the heavenly realms. So a mountain of our life. Okay. And under our main mountain are 7 other mountains. And then under those mountains, there might be many more. Okay. So you might have a whole mountain range. I don't know. But at least you have 7 mountains. And these 7 mountains are the areas of influence that you have, the places that the Lord has said, this is your dominion. Okay. And so I was, I remember the first time I was engaging over someone in my family, and I was shocked to find that there was a dragon on his throne. And a dragon in the heavenly realms, if you don't know, is demonic. Okay. So this dragon was sitting there, and I was like, what is happening? Why is this? And it was because he had never taken his place to govern. He had never said yes to being a king. And it's really interesting because he was a believer. Okay. So we can be a believer, but not be functioning in our authority. And it's different than just saying, Satan, I cast you out, I bind you in the name of Jesus. I mean, this is something a lot of people say, oh, I have a lot of authority if I do this. And you have some authority for sure, but that doesn't mean you're taking authority of the areas that you're supposed to. That it's what the Lord has said is for you. And so, anyway, I helped get rid of that dragon out of his throne and told him he needs to sit in his throne and he needs to take his authority and ask the Lord what he's supposed to govern. And this is what I did when I first saw my throne. I didn't even know I had anything to govern. I just knew I was supposed to take my place there, right? And then I remember someone telling me about the mountain of your life and these different mountains of influence. And I thought, is this real? You know, I always kind of question everything someone teaches me. And I think it's a good thing, actually. But I was just, okay, Lord, is this real? Do I have a mountain? You know, do I have different mountains of influence like this? And he showed me I did. And he started showing me my mountains. He didn't do it all at once. I did not get all 7 mountains the first time I engaged with them. I think it's because he knew how much I could handle. And I needed to be able to focus like 1 at a time, 2 at a time, something like that in order to learn to govern. But the first thing he showed me was I was in charge of my family mountain. I had a family mountain. And I assumed it was just like my kids kind of thing because I'm a mom, you know. And he showed me actually it was my entire family, all of my extended family, everything. And I was really confused because I was like, but my dad is the patriarch. Shouldn't he be in charge of this mountain? And the father looked at me and said, do you really think he could govern in the heavens? And I was just like, right. So my dad is an excellent guy. Love him so much. He is a very moral guy, but he struggles in his relationship with the Lord. He loves the Lord. He's a believer, but he's kind of like a baby Christian. And he struggles to engage. We've tried to get him to engage, but he just is like, I don't ever see anything. I don't know. I don't think God talks to me, you know, that sort of thing. And so he always depends on us. And so I understood why I was in charge of my family mountain because someone had to be governing. And so he put me in charge of that. And I said, okay, so what do I do? You know? And he showed me that he wanted me to do a court case in the courts of heaven for all the things that have been lost or stolen in my family. And this is like generationally, like a lot of things. And so I was like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. And so Yeshua took me to the court of accusations. And in this court, I just said, okay, Yeshua, what do we do? And he said, we're going to ask for everything that has been lost or stolen to be returned back to you. And so that's what we did. And I was led to kind of lay my heart out before the Father and ask him to search my heart. And so I repented of some things he brought up to me. And then Yeshua asked me if there's anyone I needed to forgive. And so I was okay, Lord, is there anybody? And of course, I always think, no, I've forgiven everybody until I really seek. And then the Father shows me. And so then I just said, okay, Father, can you help me to see them through your eyes? See them like you see them. And I asked for his blessing to be poured out on them because I know that his kindness is what leads us to repentance. And so after I did that, then Yeshua said, all right, now we want to hear from the accusers. Anything that any accusations they have against you or your family for all these things that have been lost and stolen. And he told me I needed to accept the guilt on behalf of my family. So these things that were said in the courts were from the accusers of the brethren, you know? And they brought up things that I didn't know anything about. Like they said, embezzling. Well, I've never embezzled anything. So I knew it wasn't me, but it had to be someone in my bloodline. So, of course, I admitted guilt to that. And then stealing and greediness and all sorts of things, being irresponsible, and all these things were brought up. And some of them I recognized I've done. And then other things I recognize that has to be my family line, you know? And so I repented of these things. And afterwards, Yeshua said, now I want you to ask for everything that's been lost and stolen to be returned back to you with interest and immediately. And so I said, okay. And so I did that. And then the Father judged. And, you know, it's so interesting. I'm admitting guilt the whole time. And I kind of forget I'm standing with Yeshua under his covering. And so when the Father looks at me, he sees me as not guilty. And so when he judges me as not guilty, then he judges all the others in the court as guilty for coming against a not guilty son. And so when that happened, everything was returned back to my family. And I was also told later that if ever there's a time that you are led to go to court and the Father's given a judgment and the enemy goes against that judgment, that you need to tell the Father that there's been contempt of court. And then he will judge them quickly and harshly, and it will go back into your favor. And so I did that. It's kind of like a restraining order. Have you guys ever heard of a restraining order? If you have a restraining order against somebody, they're not supposed to come near you or anything. Well, they can still come near you until you call the cops and have that restraining order enforced, right? And so it's the same sort of thing with the Father. That's why you need to go, hey, the enemy is going against what you've said. And so this is something that a lot of people forget. And they just go, well, I guess that didn't work when the enemy starts trying to attack again, instead of standing firm on the promises of the Father. And so anyway, I did this, and immediately I started having miraculous things happen with things being returned to my family, and specifically to me. I mean, I started seeing all sorts of stuff being returned that I never even thought about. But I had stuff that was lost, like keys that I lost years before, be sent to me in the mail. I then had this, well, it was a very funny thing that happened, but I had a wallet that was stolen years before at a mall. And I never thought anything more about it after that. It had been years later. And my sister's old high school boyfriend had since gotten married, and his wife ran off with another guy, and he was super mad, and he chased after him and went to that guy's house. And he got in his house, and he found that that guy had tons of stolen wallets. And he was going through them and saw my face and remembered who I was. And he found me on Facebook, contacted me, and sent me back the stolen wallet. It was so wild how it worked out. And then, I mean, just many more things. The electric company sent me a check because they'd been overcharging me. And, you know, that doesn't happen here in the United States anyway. It's a miracle, these things that started happening. And then when I did that, I started telling my family about it. And so they started using that same court case that I did and going to the Father, hey, this has been missing, or hey, there's been contempt of court. And even those who were barely believers could do it. They just went to the Father and say, Christine did this. this court case. There's been contempt of court. Everything that has been lost or stolen is supposed to be returned back immediately. And everything would come back immediately. It is amazing. And so anyway, I started doing this, and I just did whatever the Lord said to do with these different mountains. I didn't know what I was doing, but I just showed up every day. And I said, okay, Lord, is there anything else you want to show me? What's happening? Sometimes he would show me, oh, there's witchcraft over the atmosphere of my mountain, and I'm supposed to tear it down and then replace it with the blessings of the Father. And then other times it'd be like, oh, you're supposed to release shalom over this person in your life. And it was just totally different every time. He would show me different things that were happening and show me what to do. And I started learning and growing, and I started being shown some things. Some things were really obvious, like the family mountain, kind of obvious that I have a family, so it's not that weird. But I remember when he showed me something about, I had a power mountain. And at first I thought, power, like I'm in charge? What does that mean? And he said, no, like electricity. And I was like, what? I don't have anything to do with electricity. How could that even be a thing? And I was really questioning him, like, I think you got the wrong person here. And after he showed me that night, I started getting this passion for quantum physics. I had never cared anything about physics in my life, let alone quantum physics. And I started doing research, and I couldn't quit doing research. And I became passionate about it. And then I started figuring out, oh, I actually am built for this. This is what the Lord, he made me for this. I mean, even before I was a Christian, he made my body certain ways that was like for conducting electricity. I know it's strange. I have extra nerves in my body. I have all these things that have always happened with electricity, but I didn't understand it. And I didn't know, like, a lot of the healing that he would lead me to do had to do with like his electrical energy moving through my body and all of this. It was amazing to learn these things. And he started showing me how to use that and what I'm supposed to do with it. And it's been fantastic to see how he's done things with me in that way. But all of it comes down to just seeking. Because if you don't seek, you'll never know what you're supposed to do. Because if I didn't say, is there a mountain I don't know about? What am I supposed to be in charge of? If I didn't say that, I would not have known. And so I really encourage everyone to seek, what are you in charge of? And then when you do that, say, okay, what do I do? And I really recommend, you can do whatever you want, but I recommend showing up every day. You don't have to do ask the Lord certain things. You don't have to have a certain protocol. Just say, is there anything you want me to see? Anything you want me to do? How do you want me to focus today? Just do that, and he'll show you something really unique. Or he'll just tell you, no, you're fine, rest. There have been times when I am really not okay. I don't know if you've had these times. Probably almost everybody does. But I've had times when I'm like, not okay. There's no way I can govern. I'm like either sick or I'm depressed or something like that. Okay. And when something like that happens and I just know I can't govern, I'm getting my butt kicked, I will ask Yeshua to take over my throne for me. And this is really important, because if you don't do that, the enemy will take over your throne when you're not governing. And so you need to ask Yeshua to take over for you when you can't do it. And you will be amazed at how smoothly your life functions and everything that happens when he governs for you. And if you're anything like me, you'll be like, can't you do this all the time? But the thing is, we're supposed to take our responsibility. We're supposed to learn. We're supposed to grow up and be responsible for what he's put us in charge of. But when we can't, Yeshua will help. And so just letting you know that's an important thing to kind of remember. If you're not feeling like you can do it, ask Yeshua to do it for you. Because you just don't want to get into a bad place. Say I'm sick, I'm struggling to focus at all in the spirit. And I don't ask Yeshua to govern for me. Then what happens is the enemy starts governing my life and everything gets worse and worse and worse. And then all of a sudden I'm going, oh, why do people hate me and send witchcraft to me when it's not even witchcraft? It's just that I've been irresponsible and not done what I was supposed to do with my throne. Okay. So you just think of these things. It's important to kind of keep your mind focused there. I see, who is this? Grace said, hi, Christine. How many courts are there? That is a great question. I have no idea. I mean, I know of the courts I have been to, and I have been to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've been to 10 courts that I know of. But I'm sure there are ones that I'm unaware of. I often hear people talk about different courts that I've never heard of. And so I can't really, it's not that I don't believe them, but I've never experienced it myself. And I am a person who likes to experience everything to believe it. Does that make sense? So I believe that what they're telling me is true for what they're experiencing, but I can't really confirm it with the Lord. And one of the things that the Lord told me is to not share anything with others that I haven't first seen in the heavenly realms. And so I try really hard. I don't always succeed, but I try really hard to not teach anything that someone else taught me if I haven't experienced it already. So I'll just say at least 10. And there you go. 10 at least. That's how many I know of anyway. And then what is this court of accusation? A lot of people call it the mobile court because it's a court that isn't in a certain location. It forms around you no matter where you are. And this court of accusation, this is something that it's a place the Lord leads us when we need our soul to come in line with what is already done in the spirit. So here's the thing. A lot of times we do spiritual warfare and things like that because we think that we aren't victors. In the spirit, we think, I mean, in our soul is our mind, our will, and our emotions. We might feel shame. We might feel guilt. We might feel like sinners, right? Have any of you felt like a sinner before? I would say probably, maybe yesterday, So the truth is, and if you look in the scriptures, you will see this. I am no longer a sinner, right? We are no longer sinners. Sin and death were defeated on the cross by Yeshua. Yet we still think we come under the law of sin because we, in our soul, we feel guilty for things. So if we go to the courts of heaven, and we're led there, it's because our soul needs to come in line with the truth to then have that manifest on earth. Okay. So you can have real times of getting your butt kicked on the earth, but it's because you aren't coming in line with the truth of who you really are in the heavens and what Yeshua has already done. And so sometimes we need to go to the courts to make that happen. So all of the courts are really for the earth. Okay. So it's something that is for us when we are here to be able to come back in line with the truth of heaven. I don't know if that makes sense, but you can go to court for all sorts of things. I mean, just ask the Lord about it. Maybe you feel like, oh, he's reminding me that I made some mistakes with this young man when I was 20. And so you're reminded of this and you know it's coming up from the Lord. Go to the courts and say, Lord, I need to repent. I need to come in line with the truth. And so it's like it wipes everything clean in our soul, even though we're already completely saved by grace, right? We don't have to worry about, oh, I didn't repent for this or I didn't go to the courts, so now I'm not saved. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. We just need to come in line with the truth of what's already been done. So let's see. How do you know what court to go to? I always go wherever Yeshua leads. So that's the way. Absolutely don't decide to do something. If you do that, it's going to be only led by your soul and not led by the Spirit. So I would just ask Yeshua if you need to go to court. And if so, can he lead you where you need to go? So that's my best advice. When do you go to the court of contempt? Okay, so I don't know of a court of contempt. I would just go to the Father and tell him that there's been contempt of court. Okay, so contempt of court is when there is there's been a judgment of something, or it can even be when someone is doing something illegal in the courts. So maybe the enemy is trying to attack you in the court. If that happens, the Father will take control and kick them out. There will be contempt of court. And so he'll kick them out and they'll have a harsher judgment. You're never going to be touched in the court. The other thing is, so if something has been done, like I said, oh, well, now I lost this and I did this court case against lost and stolen things. So this lost thing has to come back immediately, right? But it's not coming back. So you go, Father, there's been contempt of court. The enemy is coming against me and is not supposed to. Even if you have lost something, the enemy is keeping it. Okay. So the enemy has all this of yours stored up that has been lost or stolen. And these things are supposed to be returned back to us as sons, but we don't often go for it. We forget and we just think, well, I screwed up or someone was rude and did this to me or whatever. And we forget that it's really not against flesh and blood that we are fighting, right? And so anyway, that's when you would go for contempt. It can be over anything, like you start feeling guilty for something you've already repented for. And you go, wait, that's not from me. I know I have repented for this. And so you go, okay, Lord, the enemy is trying to tell me that I'm guilty. There is contempt of court, that sort of thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. Cool. All right. Well,
there's another question I wanted to ask.
Go ahead.
You said the first time you said that your cousin or somebody was not able to take their possession and you are told to go and help them where you saw the dragon. My question is it not that when we become believers, we sit with Jesus in the heavenly places as kings and priests? Don't we have that authority to walk in all these places, or we have to claim it?
We are already seated in heavenly places with Yeshua as believers, but we don't always take and claim that, just like you said. So we don't always claim our place and take our authority. So I'm going to use my dad as an example again, just because I used him earlier. You know how I said he is a believer. He is just kind of a baby Christian because he doesn't have much relationship with the Lord. When you don't establish relationship with the Lord, you don't have a way to learn and grow. And when you don't have a way to learn and grow, you don't take authority. You're not given authority. It's just kind of like this. Say I am a millionaire. Okay. I'm not, by the way, but let's pretend I'm a millionaire in the earth. And I have 7 cars. And I have a baby. And my son is such a wonderful little baby. And he is learning to walk. And I'm so proud of him. I will not give him this car until he is grown and he is responsible and he's able to handle the car, even if the car is actually his and it's his inheritance. So I have to wait until he's able to take his place and get his license or whatever, right? I'm definitely not going to give him authority over my entire estate until he has shown that he is responsible and will do what I would do with the estate, right? And so it's the same sort of thing with our place in heaven. Yes, it's our inheritance. Absolutely. It is for each one of us. But if we don't grow and we just stay as little babies or toddlers, we are still completely loved. We are, our Father is still proud of us. There's no condemnation for it, but we also won't be given responsibility yet because we don't know what to do with that responsibility. And so it's important that we have a foundation of intimacy and that we start to grow in that and do what he says. Because it's just like Yeshua, he said, I only do what I see the Father doing. I see a lot of Christians who go around practicing what I like to call Christian witchcraft. And it is doing a lot of things in the spirit that they do not see the Father doing. They do not ask Yeshua if they're supposed to do it, but they do a whole lot of things in his name without asking or seeing if that's what they're supposed to do. And that is an immature way of functioning. And when you do that, you create problems because you're trying to govern something you have no business governing. And so it's important that we establish such a relationship with the Lord that we only do what we see him doing. And so for me, when I first saw my throne, I was surprised to see myself sitting in my throne already. Because I'm thinking, this is my first time being here, except for in the spirit, it wasn't. It was just the first time my soul was there. And so it was the first time my soul was seeing my spirit governing. But I had a great foundation of intimacy with the Lord. This is something I'd had established for 20 years before I ever saw my throne in the heavenly realms. I was already governing because I was doing what he was showing me to do all the time. And so you don't have to always see it to be able to claim it, but you do have to have intimacy. That is the key to it all. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, any other questions? I would like to ask for questions first, and then we'll engage together today.
Sometimes I think that the time we were engaging with you last time, in the beginnings, 2021, there 2020, we used to have fellowship with you on Sundays.
Uh-huh.
So during that time, the Lord revealed to me that I have a family tree.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, it came, and when he showed me that, I am in the middle. I have a bigger sister and a bigger brother. Although the brother is late now. And when I went home in 2022, my mom said, "You are the firstborn," and I wondered. There is my sister who is older than me. And there is my brother. How comes? I didn't ask that question to her, but now I thought, what is happening? So when I finished my Bible college in 2023, she said, I said my picture of graduation to her, and she hung it. And there is no other picture in that home except that mine. And my sister, my younger sister, had done her college before, and she had done her master's. And my mom never asked her photo. It's me, she asked me for the photo, and she said it should be framed. And when it was framed, she went and hung it. And everyone else was shown that photo. So later, when she hung it, is when later she asked my younger sister, bring also your photo. And she had graduated before me. So that now that the Lord is starting now bringing that issue of saying that of the family tree is mine, it's on me.
Mm-hmm.
And now is when I realized I'm taking so much authority in the spirit. And then the enemies that household wickedness and all those things, they are more against me than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone else, like my sisters that are not so much believers, like you said, they are babies, they are more fighting me. So I realized that this is the possession that the Lord gave me. They are fighting, but they do not know it. It's just a spiritual thing that is going on. So that's what I wanted to bring it to you, because it is coming now clear as we are talking.
Yeah, I'm sure that because of your relationship with the Lord and how much more mature you are in your faith walk, that you have been given the authority and basically the birthright in the spirit. Whether you get an actual birthright kind of inheritance in the earth, I have no idea, but at least in the spirit, you definitely have been given that. And so with that comes a great amount of responsibility, of course, because there's no one else to do what you're doing. And so you need to step up and be the person to do that. It's kind of like, okay, I'll tell you, there was a church that I used to go to when I was really young. I was in high school, and at this church, every week, they would allow people to stand up and give a prayer request. And then when someone would give a prayer request, they would ask for anyone in the church to pray for them. And so someone would stand up and pray. But it was kind of just always known that the men of the church pray. Okay, so the women weren't praying over anybody out loud anyway. The men would lead the prayer. And so some man would stand up and pray over that person's prayer request. And one week, someone stood up and asked for prayer, and no one volunteered to pray over them. No man volunteered. And the Lord said to me, stand up and pray over them. And even though it wasn't my place as a young person, or I'm not a man, I'm a woman, there was no one else standing up to take that place. And so he will call you to step into the place that no one else is stepping into. So even if it's not normal, if it's not normal for a woman to lead, or it's not normal for a middle child to lead, or whatever, for me, being a child and a woman in my family instead of my father, it's because we're in the place that we will step up. We are the ones who say, here I am, Lord, send me. And so we're the people who say, yes, I'll take over the authority, even though it should have belonged to somebody else. We're willing and we're able. And so I say, go with that authority right now. And if the Lord says, maybe in 10 years, somebody else will be quite mature. And maybe he'll say, okay, now it's time for them to step up. With grace, let them step into that role if the Father leads that. But for now, you need to step into this role, just like you said. Sounds like you've already been doing it. Yeah. Okay. Well, how about let's engage the heavenly realms together. Hi, whoever joined us. Samsung SM G998B. I don't know who you are. Who are you? Can you announce yourself?
Hi, Christine. Mariana here.
Hi. Hi,
Hi.
Mariana. Okay.
Sorry, I'm late because I've been sick, so I just woke up.
Oh, no. Well, no problem. So I'm going to change your name on here to Mariana so that I know who you are if you want to put something in the chat. So when we engage together, let's just put in the chat box anything that we experience. And then let's really just share together in what the Lord is up to. Okay. And if you feel like, especially Mariana, I expect that this might happen to you, but we'll see. But a lot of times, Lord will say, please just rest in me and feel my presence. Do that when you're feeling sick, especially. The Lord does that with me, is He kind of says, oh, quit trying so hard, just rest in me. And so let's engage together. Okay. Thank you, Lord. Yeshua, we want to ask that you take our hand and you lead us into the presence of the Father, and that you bring us to the mountains of our life so we can experience what you have for us. And if there is a time that we need to sit on our throne, we say yes. And we want to take that opportunity now. And if there's anything that you want to show us that we're supposed to be in charge of governing, please just show us that right now. Thank you, Lord. Yeshua started kind of opening my eyes to see this white, almost feathery kind of string on my mountain. And it was like in the air. And so he had me grab it and follow it. And I started following it, and it led me up another mountain. I don't know, or maybe it was my same mountain. I can't really tell, I guess, but I was going up a mountain and still following this kind of, almost looked kind of like a thin boa or something. But anyway, I went up and it led to this person who was standing on my mountain. And so I was asking who this is, and all of a sudden I saw someone standing kind of with great authority, very close but above me. And it really felt like, oh, a man was being sent to me, if that makes sense, who could govern over me. And so anyway, that's what the Lord was showing me. Okay, let's focus back. Is there anything that you guys were experiencing while we were engaging? Okay, I don't know if you guys are even there. Well, let me just tell you this, that I want to give a couple little announcements at the end. So I will tell you this, that we will be having another Intro to Engaging Heaven class in October. It'll be the same thing as you experienced this month, but you can enroll again for free if you'd like, or if you want to invite friends or anything, you can do that. We love just sharing some fellowship and all of that. So if you want to join in again, you're more than welcome. Also, and so you can do that at engagingheaven.as.me, and then you can find the Engaging Heaven class. We also have, for anyone who has gone through the intro class, whether it's just watching the videos or participating, you're welcome to join the Heaven Emerging class. And we have that on Sunday afternoons, Central Time. And that is a paid class. So, but that one is kind of the richer class. Okay. So it's one you sign up every month if you want to, but it's a different session every week. So if you take it in October, it's not going to be the same thing in November. It will keep going and have lots of different sessions. And so, anyway, it's a 2-hour class and one that has a lot more fellowship. It's a lot richer. We also have a WhatsApp group that's attached to it that everyone can get some fellowship in there too. So a lot of people will say, hey, this is going on with me. Would you engage over me? Or people will say, hey, I'm able to engage in heaven right now. Is anyone able to engage? And so people will meet together and do it that way. So anyway, you're welcome to join that if you'd like. Same link as the other class to sign up. So figure out which class you want to do if you want to do it. And then also we have Kingdom Builders that you're welcome to join. If you go to patreon.com/Kingdom Builders, you can sign up there. And if you do that, there are different levels you can sign up with, but once a month on the first Sunday of every month, we have a podcast where you can ask all sorts of questions and we discuss everything together. And then on the third Sunday of every month, we have a group that we just engage heaven together. We have a little bit of fellowship too, like share our favorite thing about the Lord or something that happened in the spirit, that sort of thing. But we engage the heavens together there too. So, yeah. All right. Well, anything else you guys want to add?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure.
Yes, I was just confused about what I saw, because it took me so long to see something, but in the end I saw like what is this thing that catches fishes?
Like a net?
Like a net. It was like a brown net, but then it looked like, yes, it came from the water, but there's like people in it that looks too comfortable or lost and other things in it, but then it disappeared. So I'm like, I don't know. I probably still need to pray over that, but I saw something like that.
Cool. I mean, it really reminds me of, how we're supposed to be fishers of men. That's what it was reminding me of, but absolutely ask Yeshua. That's like the key to engaging all this is not just seeing it, but interacting. And so go, okay, Lord, you showed me this net. What is this for? What am I supposed to do? Does it mean something? All of that, and see what he's leading you to, because he won't show it to you for no reason. So yeah, ask him.
Will do so. Thank you.
That's cool. And maybe it's something that's related to one of your areas of influence. Maybe you are an evangelist or something, and you have a mountain that has to do with that. Or maybe it's totally different. It could be something totally different. I don't know. But yeah, you should ask and see what that has to do with. That's
cool. So on Wednesday, I engaged with someone. It wasn't even engaging for me, but she then saw that I was crowned as queen.
Yay, that's awesome.
It was so sad that I couldn't see.
Well, you know what? I feel you. I don't see very well in the spirit, so I sense things a lot. But actually it's funny, last night I was engaging with this class. We do another class on Wednesdays, and um and this one lady was seeing all these details of everything, and I'm like, I wish I saw like that.
Mm.
It's so amazing to me when people see like that, but I don't ever get to see, not ever, but it's really rare that I get to see like
You
that.
can't say that. You can even say the color of the things.
Well, it's so funny because what's so weird about this for me is I don't even see the color. It's like I know the color. Does that make
You,
sense?
you
It's,
see with a knowing.
I know it is. That's exactly what it is. It's like somehow I know that it's what's happening, even if I don't actually see it. And
Yes, you just
so,
see.
what?
You see differently,
Yes, I definitely see differently.
but you do see.
I guess I do kind of. I do at times. I see definitely way more than I did when I first started. Um, I do see some things. A lot of times, maybe all the time, almost all the time, it is when I am engaging with other people. So, like, I engage in a group like this, and the Lord opens my eyes more. If I'm by myself, I pretty much never see. And so it's really interesting what these groups do for me, because it really enhances my spiritual senses. The more you engage with other people, the more that will happen. And it's pretty awesome to see the different parts of the body working together. Yeah.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Mm. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining in today. It's been a pleasure. I hope I'll get to see you next month somehow. Okay. Have a great,
Finished so
great.
quickly.
I know it's 4 weeks. It's 1 month. So you
Thank
have to
you
do it
very much.
again or join a different group. Okay.
That's
Love you
Thank
guys.
you.
You're
time to
welcome.
grow. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.